This is the first meeting.
This meeting will now come to order. As y'all can see in front of you, the Robert's Rules of Parliamentarian typed it up to kind of put Robert's Rules all in one place and kind of be like a cheat sheet for y'all, can put in your binder and refer to if you need to at any point. So yeah, would anyone like to utilize open forum at this time?
Don't get your hopes Hello, everyone. Mary couldn't be here today, so I'm all on my own, so I might be a little disorganized. But as we approach the finals season, you know, it's gonna kind of suck, as you know. But you know, we're all leaders of like different organizations, and like we're all belonging to different clubs, and like we all bring a different Okay, sorry. Basically we need to just kind of learn how to take a step back. And so this pastor and this author named Jordan Lehner, he did a devotional just basically talking about one of the lesser known attributes that Jesus kind of had. And one of the biggest things is that Jesus actually liked to take a break from things. And it's actually something a lot of people don't talk about, that mental clarity is such a huge thing that people just neglect over time. And he actually talks about how there's like several scriptures where it just says that Jesus just goes for a break, or he leaves for solace. And it just kind of just shows you, as we get through when like rubber hits the road and we're having to study for finals, go to committee meetings, get our office hours, and it's like, this is kind of a lot. Like kind of just step back and think, okay, you know, maybe I need to take a mental break and just kind of, you know, just think, you know, everything's gonna be okay. And then you go in and just advance in life. So that's pretty much it. I want to make it short and sweet, but also we'll be sending out a group meet invitation soon. Of course, Barry and I are still getting this together. We should have it out maybe sometime in the middle of the week, but just look forward to that. And yeah, if you guys have any like prayer requests or just anything to keep on our hearts, just let us know and just text me or something. I don't mind answering.
Hey all, so the bill going forward tonight, it's still on the agenda, PSSR 23032402, the pregame prayer in Jordan Air Stadium. This is a bill that is going to need a lot more homework and has a lot more moving parts than we initially thought. So it's a bill that we're not going to be able to move forward with at this time. So I move to suspend the rules of order and strike PSSR 23032402 from tonight's agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
Raise your hand if for aye.
Aye.
Wait, raise your hand, nay. I mean, ayes have it, it'll be strike from the agenda. Would anyone else like to utilize it before?
Good evening, everyone. How are you today?
Good.
Good, awesome. Well, I first want to introduce myself. I'm Erica Stallings. I'm the Executive Director for Career Discovery and Success. So many of you may have been familiar with the University Career Center previously. We are in the process of restructuring and reorganizing to better serve students across campus and provide quality career services, comprehensive career services, regardless of what college you may be in. So we're doing a lot of work, and part of that work includes enhancing the way our students, so you all and your fellow students, receive opportunities about jobs, internships, and other opportunities to engage with employers. So just a quick question for you. How many of you are familiar with Handshake? Okay. So how many of you utilize Handshake on a regular basis? Saw some kind of. How many of you really love Handshake and think it's a valuable resource? Okay. Good to know. So we are in the process of changing systems to a customizable system that will focus on career opportunities from employers that are specifically driven and recruiting Auburn students. We will still continue to have Handshake as an option because we do think that there's value because there are opportunities there. But we really want to focus on connecting Auburn students with employers who are recruiting Auburn students and Auburn talent, as well as a platform that is custom branded specifically for Auburn University and Auburn students that helps enhance the experiential learning opportunities for you all. So that means internships, research experience, leadership, service, etc. So we're really thinking about how we partner with different campus units, including colleges and involvement, to make sure that we're providing a service that focuses on the Auburn student. So with that, we are going to be branding and launching this new system in August and would love your help in terms of the name of the system and would like to get feedback from you on features or things that you would like to see because we have lots of opportunities to customize the system. We have some different names that we're thinking of, but we know that you have limited time tonight, so we're going to send those out in basically a survey format to you so you can give us your feedback, as well as give us any additional feedback on things that you might like to see within this new system as we build it out. We want this system to represent the Auburn student and to be something that you utilize and find valuable. And so we feel it's really important to hear your voice and the voice of the students as we do this so that we do it right and we build something that you can engage in and feel confident in when you utilize this new job platform. So that is really all I have tonight, and we're going to follow up with a survey for you all. But I did just want to introduce myself. I also want to introduce Amanda Moore. She is our new director for University Career Strategy. We are both have open door policies, so please feel free, email us, come see us. We want to hear what you have to say, what you're thinking about, because our goal is really student focused and centered on how we make the best possible experience for you here at Auburn that ultimately leads to career success. And you are our eyes and ears on the ground. As much as I'd like to think that I still understand what students need, I know that if I don't stay in touch with you all, that I'm probably missing the mark. So please feel free to email us, step into our office. We're in Mary Martin Hall. We'd love to see you, speak with you, and hear more about what you are looking for out of career services and what your constituents are looking for in career services. So thank you for your time tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming to speak to us. Would anyone else like to utilize open forum? We will now move into the approval of the minutes. The minutes were sent out in an email last week and they also were put in the box folder. Are there any correction to the minutes? By seeing none, the minutes will now be marked as approved and corrected. And all of our other officers are at safety walk, so we have John David that is going to give the whole exec report.
Hey, like Juju said, I'm giving the entire exec report, so don't hate me. It's just first thing is judicial applications will close tomorrow at 4:45 p.m. We extended those to Tuesday. Interviews would be Thursday. So if you have any friends that are interested in joining SGA in a lower capacity role, then maybe forward this information to them. It's a really unique opportunity. Also, another thing is sign up for Up All Night if you have the option to. Obviously, you don't want to be doing Up All Night if you have a big exam the next day. It would mean a lot to us if you could. We had cabinet retreat this weekend, which was awesome. We had Brewsters doing. I did not win the competition.
We'll get a Matt Paul retreat though, Senate vs. Cabinet.
Exactly. So another thing I'm going to forward into y'all's group meeting whenever I get back to the seat is there's a QR code that Dining has for any feedback that y'all want to collect or give. So maybe during your office hours, that can be something that you share. Then another thing is Dylan just had his monthly Melton Student Center meeting. Outlets are coming in some places that we don't currently have them. And then portable portable chargers should be available for rent. Sending cabinet headshots are next Monday from 3 to 5 p.m. at Cater and Business Professional. You don't have to reserve time, just come anytime between 3 and 5 p.m. And then another thing I wanted to emphasize is our exec team is here as a resource for y'all. So y'all have conversations and questions as y'all writing legislation this year. I know Julianne is already a great resource, but any of us are really welcome to have conversations about it. But that's it. Thank you all.
Next, we'll move into our committee report, starting with academic affairs.
Not much for academic affairs today. A lot of great things happened throughout the university this past weekend, academically speaking. If you didn't know, we have a new president officially. Also, at the board meeting on Thursday, I'm sorry, I forget. Dr. Nathan really introduced some really great points that really impact our colleges, no matter where you come from, where college you may be in. Prime example, pharmacy is finally going to get a new undergraduate program. So looking at how that might affect COSAM and what you guys are doing as far as your undergraduate services as well. And also within the College of Business, there are brand new supply chain options within your master's programs and looking to the growth of the kinesiology department. From a committee standpoint though, today we have two accommodations coming on the floor. These accommodations have really taken off since they began. We will be introducing two large amendments on both of them today. This comes from a lot of extensive collaboration between not only the exec team, the academic affairs committee, but also our advising team and Kelby and Brad and Paul and Jamie. They've all been great resources throughout this. So please reflect over that. I think I shared that in our group meeting earlier. We want to really be clear with our intentions here and make sure that we didn't interfere with any other university processes when we went about wording and vocabulary and sentence structure. We'll also make sure that due service is there. So we look forward to doing that as well. We also have feedback that's in our AVP feedback and assessment office right now. We have 3 or 4 items that we're currently working on, so that's going great. Juju graced us with our presence today in our committee meeting, and we really did enjoy that, and we hope that she comes back more. Let's all come back and be prepared. Thank you.
Thanks, we have budget and finance report.
Well, business, hope y'all are having a great week. I've met with Kelby twice in the past week or so just to get more clarity on some specific line items and governance and every bit of SGA and their budgets. So I'm beginning to collect the contact info so emails can be sent out hopefully next week. I've got 2 PDFs and 1 RFR coming through tonight. We can save time to ask questions for that later. But as of right now, I would like to suspend the rules of order and move PSSB 23042403 to a current order.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any debate or questions?
The funds are needed Friday.
Any other debate or questions? All in favor, raise your hand, say aye. All not in favor, raise your hand, say nay. Right, PSSB 2320, is it 03 or 02? 03, we'll move to the current order. Okay, next we have a report from Code of Laws. Anyone on Kara's committee want to give a report?
CLA, Code of Laws met Friday over Zoom. We discussed a couple of different bills going to the floor today. One's a future order. They're both future orders. There's small code changes.
Next, we have a report from DEI.
Hey everybody, in business, hope you all had a good week. Just a couple things for me. This day, DEI is Thursday. It'll be like a holiday event. If anybody wants to go, just let me know. I'll send you the invite. Keep checking the doors, making sure they work. Kara gave me 2 doors that don't work, and they're gonna be fixed this week. The handicap door buttons is what I'm gonna do. Awesome. Yay for Kara, she's not here. That's all for me. Thank y'all.
She's probably watching me go. Okay, next our report from student affairs.
Oh, yeah. On Thursday, the student panel, I'll be a part of the student panel, so that'll be super fun. Me and like lots of other students, we have, I think like 3 or 4. It should be like an hour. If you want to come just for that, then come just for that. It'll be super fun. They'll be asking questions about the university and implementing DEI and stuff like that. That's all.
Now we're report from student affairs.
Building at large. So had a good week this week, good committee meeting. So with athletics, Case and Will are both working on gathering feedback with the baseball experience. A few different moving parts with that. Something that we're kind of excited about is potentially utilizing the old Coliseum for a tailgating spot for the baseball games, which would be kind of cool. Kansas does something similar, so maybe copying that. So with dining, this is just something to be aware of. If you use Grubhub next Monday and Tuesday, there will be no markup fee for Grubhub because they had an outage. So I think average, like as a student body, we're gonna save $40,000 on those 2 days. So that's gonna be awesome. So definitely use Grubhub next Monday and Tuesday. They're putting 2 Costa coffee machines in the library. So that'd be great. I think that's happening fairly soon. And then with Fresh Blends, we've got a demo coming down soon. So hopefully the dining team will be able to demo that. I know Glenn Lothridge is currently traveling right now to try it out as well. So we'll have an update about that soon. Campus safety. Haley had Greek sing tonight, so Jenna DeVay is going to safety walk tonight, so we'll hear how that is next week. And then we're talking with the city relations team on cabinet to potentially go to a city council meeting and bring up 320 and get some perspective on that. And then with health and wellness, Vera contacted Katie Romsbacher, the AVP of feedback and assessment, and they are setting up a med clinic category for students to submit reviews for their appointments. So that's definitely a great step. And we're also looking into a way to make the SEPS, which is the Student Counseling and Psychological Services, making their appointment booking process better, because right now you have to call them on the phone to book an appointment. So we'd love to make an online portal like there is in the med clinic. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Thanks all.
Thanks, Chad. And then finally, a report from the executive committee.
Auburn at large, just a reminder that you do need to come to one Senate exec this semester. So the last one is Thursday at 5 in conference room A. And if you can't come, just email me an excuse and we'll get that excused. Little adjustment if y'all email me if you miss anything. If you could make the subject line Senate and then excuse and then the date, that just makes it a lot easier for me to keep up with where all the excuses are in my email. And then if you're having trouble with the Canvas quiz, please email me. We're working with IT because there have been a lot of glitches with that. So that's all for me. Thank y'all.
Now we'll move into a report from our liaison, starting with Auburn's Congress.
With Honors Congress. So this past week, our academic team was held in night, and we also had our leadership summit yesterday for the whole Honors College organizations. So we all met as a group and kind of talked about our expectations for this upcoming year, and also talked about the mandatory classes we take in order to make sure we're holding everyone accountable to Honors College. Also, also, this Wednesday, our spirit committee is going to be holding a Tetris tournament. It'll be at 6 p.m. in Mel 2510. And then our philanthropy committee is holding Hide from Finals on Friday at 6 p.m. behind Cater. And then this whole week, we're doing a memo drive for Relay for Life to try to raise more money for them. It's going to be a competition between all the honors boards. And then next Friday at 6 p.m., we're having a big Relay for Life event at the Opelika Courthouse Square.
Thank you. Next, a report from the Student Veterans Association.
Bramble, ASBA, nothing to report.
Right, now we'll move into our current orders of business. PSSC 2304-1701. This bill is brought to you, this accommodation is brought to you by Senator Rudolph.
Don't go too far. Actually, please direct your attention to the screen behind me. I move to amend and pass this commendation as written. Great. Commendation for Dr. Taffy Benson Clayton. Whereas diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice are important values at Auburn University. And whereas diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice efforts provide a unique opportunity to impact the lives of underrepresented community members. And whereas the Office of Inclusion and Diversity serves as the vital resource for building unity, equity, and inclusion at Auburn University, in the Auburn University community to ensure all members have access and support to achieve their goals. And whereas the Office of Inclusion and Diversity hosted the inaugural State of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion at Auburn University in spring 2022. And whereas the Office of Inclusion and Diversity will be hosting the second State of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion that will highlight over 100 departmental diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and initiatives that took place during the 2022-2023 academic year. And whereas the Office of Inclusion and Diversity desires to extend recruiting across Alabama, strengthen graduate school opportunities, and help offset campus visit costs for students in need. And whereas the role of Associate Provost and Vice President for Inclusion and Diversity was developed as a result of Auburn University's strategic goals and priorities to address inclusion and diversity on campus in 2016. And whereas a comprehensive campus climate study indicated key areas of opportunity for the university to cultivate and a more inclusive and diverse campus. And whereas, as of December 1st, 2016, Dr. Taffy Benson Clayton is the inaugural Associate Provost and Vice President of Inclusion and Diversity, serving as Auburn University's Chief Diversity Officer. And therefore, let it be resolved that we, the Auburn University Student Senate, commend Dr. Taffy Benson Clayton for inaugurally being the principal advocate and adversary to the Provost, President, and senior university leadership on issues of diversity and inclusion.
A motion has been made to amend this resolution or accommodation, sorry. Is there a second?
Second.
Now, is there any debate?
The amendment came from looking at past accommodations in the past. We as an executive team now or ever in SGA Senate history probably hasn't really defined what it is that we want accommodations to necessarily always look like. I'm so gracious to have to go through this opportunity, especially with great collaboration with our advising team and with our exec team, with some of our great administrators who have really helped us define what it is that we want to do when we come in somebody, how we do it, and how it goes about looking to make sure that it's a really high quality document. I feel like this document does that extremely. It's taken a lot of conversation, a lot of meetings from everybody from the Academic Affairs Committee all the way up to Mr. Brad Smith, and I hope you guys agree with that as well.
We will now move to a vote on this amendment. All in favor of amending this accommodation, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
All not in favor, please raise your hand and say nay. Okay, we will now go back to voting on the legislation through as a whole. So if you'll turn to your Canvas quiz and move to a vote, if there's no debate. Okay, the ayes have it, and this accommodation will be adopted. Next, we'll move on to our next current order of business, PSSC 2304-1702. This accommodation is also brought to you by Senator Goff.
Don't flip too far again, let's look behind me here. Once again, same reason as last time, we wanted to really ensure when this first came out of committee, based off what we had in, the archive, didn't have an idea of what we wanted to say, but we wanted to be very sure that as leaders and as an organization, we were publishing a document that really fit our mission and made sure that our intentions, and not only our intentions, but our actions, were following suit within the words that we were saying. So once again, we had a lot of inclusive meetings, a lot of great collaboration. This has been a live reading document for about a month, if not more now. And we've had some really great notes being given, and this is what it kind of produced. It was way longer, and it is now way shorter and way more direct. And it doesn't leave much room open for interpretation in any line and or statement. It's all left on the paper. So I move to amend this accommodation as the following, whereas since 2011, Dr. Vinnie Nathan has served as the Dean of the McWhorter Chair of the College of Architecture, Design, and Construction, CADC. And whereas in February of 2022, Dr. Vinnie Nathan was named the interim provost and vice president for academic affairs. Whereas Dr. Vinnie Nathan has provided great leadership to Auburn University's 12 colleges, in addition to supporting Auburn University's instruction, research, and outreach mission. Whereas Dr. Vinnie Nathan, throughout her interim role, has represented Auburn University's best interests in the cabinet of 2 Auburn University presidents. And whereas Dr. Vinnie Nathan has provided exemplary leadership throughout the selection of more than 5 deans across several colleges, such as College of Engineering, the College of Architecture, Design, and Construction, the College of Science and Mathematics, the College of Liberal Arts, and the College of Pharmacy. And whereas Dr. Vinnie Nathan, throughout her interim post, navigated and led Auburn University's efforts in a 10-year accreditation review with our accrediting body, the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges, SACSCOC. Therefore, let it be resolved that we, the Auburn University Student Senate, commend Dr. Vinnie Nathan's diligence, hard work, and efforts in her interim role as Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs. DC Auburn University President, Dr. Christopher Robbins.
Is there a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Now, is there any debate?
Alfred at large, can we also copy Dr. Vinnie Nathan on this commendation since she's the one being commended?
Yes, I think we can do that on both.
Okay.
But in the past, once again, our archive is kind of very hanky and stuff like that. I would love to do that. Right. But yeah, usually we send it to the report, did our report, and they share it with the department and with the person. I would like that option as well.
Okay. If you want to pass that as amendment after we vote on this amendment.
On the previous question. We need to vote on that. Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other debate? Okay, we'll now move to vote on, oh, yes, Jack, sorry.
Hilton at large. So isn't Dr. Nathan a candidate for the permanent provost role?
As a member of SGA and a person who's not a part of that selection committee and or body, I cannot confirm or deny that statement. I don't think any person will look at.
Okay.
But it is an Auburn University rule that an interim person cannot apply for a full-term role within that same role. Whether or not they decide to waive that role is up to the board of directors.
Okay.
Is there any other questions or debate on this amendment? Okay, we will now move to vote on this amendment. If you're in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Wait, keep your hands up again.
And just for clarity, this is just on the amendment.
Okay, all not in favor, please say nay and raise your hand. Okay, this amendment has passed. Now we'll go back to legislation. Is there any debate on this bill? Yes.
Madam Chair. In recollection, kind of where this is going and kind of based on to add some context to what the gentleman from L-Arts mentioned earlier. It's kind of funny to have accommodation right now for some individual who could be up for a possible position that they could be suited for. With that being said, I am definitely open to tabling this to August.
Tribal Business, I just wanted to provide some context for kind of what this is doing, just in our terms. So I believe that as Auburn University should not interfere in SGA elections, so in the same way, we should not interfere in what Auburn University is doing with selecting people. So this would almost be the same as Auburn University issuing a statement a month before SGA elections commending JD for all his hard work as pro temp right before the election. And could y'all see how that would sway some things going into that selection process? And that's where I'm coming from. Like, I think it's great. Dr. Nathan is incredible. She's done a ton of hard work, but I think it would be in our best interest as a student senate to push this to August and get it passed then when this whole selection process is wrapped up.
Madam Chair. And while I definitely do agree with what the gentleman said, I definitely think that this would do great service within August. But for the reasoning I do not support, as a governing body, we cannot allow ourselves to dictate what we can and cannot do based off of university operations. We're not the university senate, we're not the faculty senate, we're the student senate. So many university students have expressed interest in this being published. I spent a lot of time looking into that this week. But I do think to avoid any type of confusion, ignorance, or even at the same time slight implication that we would want to sway any university selection process, it would be safer to do it in August.
I move we table the legislation indefinitely.
It has been moved to.
Indefinitely means something. You know what it means?
Well, we can debate it. I mean, we
can.
It has been moved to table this legislation indefinitely. Is there any debate?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
tabling this legislation indefinitely, not to a set period of time. Let's just add some context to what we're doing here. This is a higher ed administrator who's been a vast majority of her career outstanding and outgoing the social balance that she was active to do. There has never, and I quote never, because it's research, been an Auburn University interim provost, interim anything, who has been through and led us through what she has within the last year. She has been within this role for about a year and 3 months. While doing that, we have had an all-time high of over 6, I said 5, but they're actually over 6 open deanships within our college, our university. What does that mean? The academic culture and or standing of our institution was at the same time in great lapse. She came into that role from the dean's office and provided great leadership and quickly filling those interims or actings and or in the selection processes of all those things. Not only while doing that, most like any other interim person, she served on not one, but 2 presidential cabinets and going through the transition for both. So basically saying it indefinitely means she is not worthy of any commendation or praise, and we can never talk about it again. I don't think that's what we need to do. And also on another point, while doing all of that, she navigated us through our 10-year accreditation process, something that happens every 10 years, right? Look at the draw for interim provost Vinnie Nathan. And she did that, and I think we're all in the clear of that as well. And to also speak on that further notion, as interim, if she was to go back to not being interim, she would go back to her current post within the College of Architecture, Design, and Construction. So this would speak to her aptitude in leadership, not to her aptitude in any department and or role.
Hey, Inman Business, I just wanted to make a point of inquiry. I don't think by Jake saying the word indefinitely, he was attacking Dr. Vinnie Nathan at all. I just think that was kind of just a little bit too much. You know, Jake didn't really do anything wrong. I definitely don't think he was trying to attack Dr. Vinnie Nathan because we know that she's done a great job in her role.
Jan CLA, thank you, Carter. I meant no disrespect to Dr. Nathan or anything she's accomplished. I'm not familiar with Dr. Nathan, but everything everyone has said, she's obviously someone who's done incredible work for Auburn. My motion to table the legislation indefinitely is just giving us freedom to pick when we want to continue with this. I would love for you to reintroduce this. I just don't know when. We have one more Senate after this, and I think, to be honest, it would just be a disservice to her if we pass it at the end of the year when no one's really, to be honest, like paying attention to what SGA is doing, but at the beginning of the year when people are new and like oh, they can read the Plainsman, like the Plainsman can write an article about it, then this would be great for us to pass at the beginning of the year. So I didn't mean in disrespect. I just think it'd be the easiest route if we want to avoid anything like Senator Treadwell was talking about earlier, going into matters. So I apologize if that motion insulted you or Dr. Nathan in any way, but I just think it would be easiest course of action for us.
Madam Chair. Agreed, Senator Young. Can the parliamentarian please define what does indefinitely mean, and/or can we revise the motion to ensure the right action is being taken? I do believe it needs a tabling, just not indefinitely.
Parliamentarian's not present with us, but I'll take the
Cheat sheet there, we all got.
the cheat sheet. It definitely would mean until the end of the term, while y'all are all senators, because a new term, that wouldn't apply. So basically, is there any other debate on this motion?
Madam Chair, I would rather we just table it. Don't put in the word indefinitely attached to it. Let's just table it. We'll bring it up another day, another time, when the culture and the environment is right. Because it just does deserve the best intended of this room.
That would have to have Senator Yon changing his motion.
I rescind my motion.
I move to table this motion.
Second.
There you go.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any debate? All in favor, please raise your hand. All not in favor, please raise your hand and say nay. All right, this PSSC has been tabled until future notice.
Thank you.
So next we'll move on to our next current order of business, PSSB 2304-1701. This bill is brought to you by Senator Leahy.
I ask for approval of the following, 500.1.2, the strike school at Harrison College of Pharmacy's strike school at student council shall have 2 vice president positions, 1 reserved for a student who attends the Auburn University campus and 1 reserved for a student who attends the Mobile satellite campus. Each vice president shall fulfill the duties of their office per the strike schools at student council constitution on the respective campus.
Is there a second? Second. Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, we'll move into a vote on the canvas quiz. The ayes have it, and this bill will be adopted. Thank you, Senator Leahy. Next current order of business is PSSB 2304-1702. This bill is brought to you by Senator Sliver.
Sliver Business, I ask for approval of the following. Bennett Harris, Director of Freshman Forum, Ty Tolbert, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum, Forrest Sam Watson, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum, Deidre Peterson, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum, Elizabeth Eckel, Assistant Director of Freshman Forum, Catherine Turner, Director of Recruitment, Mia Deason, Director of Recruitment, Allie Grace Gentry, Director of Public Relations, Catherine Steele, Director of Public Relations, Crowley Williams, Director of Public Relations, Meg O'Keefe, Director of Public Relations, Thomas Bradford, Director of Photography, Lily Tears, Director of Photography, Abby Grace Mashburn, Director of Photography, Laura Beth Horn, Director of Photography, Lily Gant, Director of Social Media, Hollis Gerald, Director of Videography, Ellie Squires, Director of Videography, Megan Webster, Director of Web Designs, Colby Orr, Director of Auburn Reigns, Carson C., Director of Auburn Reigns, Justin Bullock, Director of Financial Projects, Colin Henson, Director of Financial Projects, Luke Smith, Director of Financial Projects, Nick Bobkowski, Director of Financial Projects, McKenton Campbell, Director of Academic Affairs, Alyssa Gear, Director of Academic Affairs, Lucy Redden, Director of Academic Affairs, Samuel Woodfin, Director of Academic Affairs, Mims Jones, Director of Athletic Initiatives, Betsy Glenn, Director of Organizational Seating Program, Millie Hawk, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Brooke Twiner, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Bobby Cook, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program, Owen Beaverstock, Assistant Director of Organizational Seating Program.
Is there a second? Oh, sorry. No, it's fine.
Riley Parkman, Director of Campus Dining, Evan Smith, Director of Campus Dining, Ben Director of Campus Health and Wellness, Miller King, Director of Health and Wellness, Allison Stubb, Director of University Housing, Landon Miller, Director of Facility Projects, Mary Frances Massey, Director of Parking Transportation, Mary Hollis Post, Director of Safety Initiatives, Kendall Anderson, Director of Sustainability, Jack Stuttle, Director of City Relations, Lane Martin, Director of City Relations, Cole Stacy, Director of Civil Engagement, Emma K. Snyder, Director of Civil Engagement, Gracie Branco, Director of Government Relations, Annalise Sutherland, Director of Government Relations, McKenna Dempsey, Director of Auburn Answers, Emma Rutledge, Director of Auburn Answers, Wyatt Hardy, Director of Research and Assessment, Elizabeth Casey, Director of Research and Assessment, Ellen Horsley, Director of Research and Assessment, Madeline Fecteau, Director of Heyday and Creed Day, Malone Gammill, Assistant Director of Heyday and Creed Day, Carly Lurie, Assistant Director of Heyday and Creed Day, Haley Bergenthal, Assistant Director of Heyday and Creed Day, Manning Smith, Assistant Director of Heyday and Creed Day, Malia Hunter, Director of Outreach Program, Kendall Hardaway, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Projects, Joshua Dudesendorf, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Projects, Emma Pope, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiatives, Michaela McGruder, Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Initiatives.
Now, is there a second? It has been moved and seconded. Is there any debate? Seeing no debate, we will now vote in the campus quiz. I know you put on your snazzy blazer for the long bill. The ayes have it, and this bill will now be adopted. Next current order of business is PSSB 2304-1703. This bill is brought to you by Senator Knighton.
Nine business, PSSB 23041703, ayes for approval of the following. Jackson Reese, College of Art, Design, and Construction, Executive Student Council Vice President.
Is there a second? Is there any debate? Seeing there is no debate, we will now go into a vote. Okay, the ayes have it, and we'll move on. And the bill is now adopted. We'll move on to the next current order of business. This bill is brought to you by Senator Harrison. Yeah, Harrison.
PSSB 2304-1704. I ask for approval of the following Caroline Jones, College of Art Design Construction Senator.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any debate? Okay, we'll now go into a vote. Okay, the ayes have it, and this bill will be adopted, and Senator Jones is now a senator. Okay, now we're moving on to our next current order of business. This bill is brought to you by Senator Rouse.
Rouse Agriculture, PSSB 2304-1745. Ask for the approval of the following: Mac Murphy, Senate Technician; Gracie Stevens, Senate Parliamentarian; Wyman Mulsey, Senate Secretary.
Is there a second? Is there any debate? No one wants to kick him out? Just kidding. Okay, now we'll move into a vote. Okay, the ayes have it, this bill has been adopted. I'm sure Gracie and Mac will be thrilled to hear. Congrats, Molly. Now our next current order of business, this bill is brought to you by Senator Auburn.
Auburn at large, I ask for the approval of the following. Hannah Butterfield, honors Congressman liaison.
Is there a second? Is there any debate? And now we'll move into a vote. The ayes have it, and you'll now be unofficially liaison. So many new people. So now, because of the suspension of order earlier by Senator Treadwell, we'll move in to our final current order, PSSB 2304-2403.
Triple business, ask for approval of the following, the allocation of $6,000 from the program expansion fund to a new sub-line item titled Tents under the line item titled Special Events Earth Day Extravaganza, the University Program Council of the Programming Student Activity Portfolio. These funds would cover the cost of tents, including setup and takedown that would be placed around campus at the organizational tables for the event. I move to amend this bill and strike 6,000 and replace it with 4,900 after they got an invoice from the company today.
Is there a second? All in favor of amending this bill as presented, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. All not in favor, please raise your hand and say nay. Okay, this bill has been amended. Now moving back to the bill, is there a second on the bill?
Second.
Is there any debate? Seeing no further debate, we'll go into a vote. Do you have one over there? Oh, sorry.
Engineering, you just like why wasn't budgeted for, how the event came to be, like what?
Yeah, so basically it's an event for Earth Day. They've already allocated, I think, $12,000 to the event for catering and other costs associated with it. And last year it was very hot and they noticed that all day. People were getting sunburned and some girl like passed out from a heat stroke or something. So they just thought getting tents and providing shade would help the event.
Is there any other debate? All right, seeing no more debate, we'll go into a vote. On cancel.
Make sure the auditors have it. I'll just text you. I just be good. Like, are you trying to?
I think the ayes have it and this bill will be adopted. So that concludes our current orders of business. Next, we'll move on to our future orders of business. First up, this bill is brought to you by, resolution is brought to you by Senator Yon.
Yon, CLA, Veteran Affairs Special Committee. Whereas Auburn University students, faculty, and administration are indebted to the sacrifice and service of those in the United States military, and whereas student veterans who continue their education at Auburn contribute invaluable insight and experience in the classroom and contribute to the culture of campus, and whereas student veterans fully embody the Auburn creed by living out the statement, I believe in my country because it's the land of freedom and because it is my home, and that I can best serve that country by doing justly, loving mercy, and walking humbly with my God. And whereas the Auburn University Medical Clinic does not fully accept TRICARE, a health care program for uniformed service members, retirees, and their families, and whereas Auburn University does not observe Veterans Day, a federally recognized holiday to honor the sacrifice of our service members, and whereas the students in its current standing committees are unequipped to adequately address veteran issues on campus. Therefore, let it be resolved that the Students' Senates create a special committee to address veteran issues on Auburn's campus, specifically regarding the issues of fully accepting TRICARE at the medical clinic and the observance of Veterans Day, and therefore let it further be resolved that this special committee be named the Veteran Affairs Committee and operate under the scope outlined in Chapter 304 of the SGA Code of Laws.
Are there any questions on this future order?
So I would like a lot of context to provide for this bill. If y'all don't know, in the Code of Laws a couple years ago, I think they added a provision for the creation of special committees. So this is when certain issues go outside the purview of our standing committees. And so this would be our first special committee in the Senate. Before we get to questions, I just want to talk about a couple of different things. I would need clarification about the line about TRICARE. If you don't know, medical insurance is incredibly complicated, especially when you combine that with military and universities. So this statement is probably going to be amended later on, and we can ask more questions about it, but just know that that probably is not fully going to be in the current order of the resolution. And more importantly, this committee is more about creating channels of communication between us and the ASBA. We have 2 liaisons here today from that group, and we really just want to make sure that we, as an SGA, can provide them the best resources they need to fully get their word out to all the student veterans on campus. And so Juju and I met with them last Wednesday, and we kind of talked about what SGA could do to further that. And this is just a part of that. And the main thing is just going to be communicating with them, promoting their events, going to their events, working to fundraise with them. And so this is like just one step in that. And also like the scope outlined in it can be broader. Like we're going to discuss different resolution ideas and just how to really support the veterans on campus. So if y'all have any questions, I know it's really a lot of different moving parts.
Rudolph Engineering. My question kind of comes from like not only like a state administration point of view, but also a Title IX DEI perspective. I do think that this falls directly under the purview of a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. I don't want to take away from the power and of that committee because this would definitely be what they would look into. Did we address that conversation before it got to a bill, or did we not?
We've definitely been in talks with Juju and the rest of exec and SGA administration, and I think that we would definitely love to have lots of people from that committee on, since it is like a committee that meets every other week for DEI.
Yeah.
I think this is such a specific issue and such a big thing that Auburn needs to address. I think it would be great to like kind of work out the structure of how special committees work, because we haven't done it so far. If we like debate it and we realize that this is something that we can do under special committees, I think that would be, or under DEI, I think that would be. So obviously we're still going to pursue all those things, all those talks with ASBA, but I really think this is something that's big enough that we can address, and specific enough, working with that organization, working with all the veterans on campus, just because they haven't had a clear voice to the rest of the student body. So I really think this is something that should be special.
Are there any other, yes?
Smith Liberal Arts. I kind of see what you're saying, Rudolph, about like having the different committees. I forgot what to say, sorry. But like, but basically I understand what you're saying about how the committees can kind of feel like you're dabbling in other people's committees. I guess from my experience, 2 things with Leah, who's a former president of ASBA. She kind of just like trailblazed like the efforts that were needed for the Veteran Students Association. So like having that, like I believe that we fell short in helping them as much as possible. And I feel like throwing that on top of the other things DEI has to deal with would just be like a lot. And then secondly, I think that I myself kind of have experience with starting like a special committee, and like I kind of see what you're saying when you're kind of double dipping, but I think the fact that you can have a committee that's solely focused on an issue, that they still have to have the approval of the entire exec committee, which he oversees. They'll still provide some clarity on that. But I think overall, having the formation of special committees actually makes it more efficient than actually kind of slowing down the process, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
And on that point, Jonathan, Senator Edwards, I'm sorry. It wasn't really about like, it's from a perspective that I have, especially like as a minority. I don't think it's appropriate for us to single out one people group on campus and say, hey, we're going to solve your issues, and we're going to put a special committee to it. Especially when we already have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee, when they could have more resources, more time, and or less split people on committees. I think this brings up a great point. Why is our DEI committee split? Why do they have dual jobs? Why do they only meet twice a week? It's a good opportunity for us to look within ourselves here and not avoid running something new and create another issue or another committee that we have to figure out, but to promote what we already have and what already works. Because when a university faces something like this, they don't go and publicly say, we're going to quantitatively put ourselves to this fight. Because when you lose the fight, they call you on it. So it might be better for us to kind of talk about, maybe thought about what it might look like to just grow or change DEI to encompass this, instead of making it a whole new fight.
Yes. Let's remember that this is a future order, so questions? Yes.
Harrison Engineering, point of inquiry, what would this do that DEI can't already do? And what are some, I still don't really understand the difference between special committees and normal committees. Like, what are some other special committees we have, just for reference?
Yeah, this will be the first special committee. So we haven't actually had one yet. But this would just allow us to like only pick from senators that are really passionate about the issue, that are willing to put in extra work outside of their committee, outside of this meeting, outside of the office hours. And so we would have that, it would be a smaller group than our normal committees, and then we just meet at different times, and we'd be able to like workshop just this one issue of the SGA. But we obviously haven't done special meetings, so like this is gonna be like new, like this, like whatever we do is like the precedent. I think it's really important that we just find a really good starting issue, and I think it's a great issue to start on, just the importance of veterans on our campus.
It's in engineering, another point of inquiry, how would this be any different from just having a liaison from student veterans involved in SGA? Why create a whole other committee when we already have representatives?
Yeah, I mean, so we're gonna be working with the liaisons with this to give us the opportunity to have senators just be with them, not have to worry about all the different things we talked about tonight. They get today you get a report, like let's say you get a report, are you gonna remember everything you said, obviously, because like we had 10 other reports, we had 10 other bills. This is something that's like really specific, something that we're gonna allow our senators and this organization. Also in the code, if you want to get real deep in, we can add people that aren't necessarily senators, people that have insight on the issue of veterans. We can add them to the committee, we can add other people on campus that are passionate about the issue and that would work with us, create resolutions. And really it's just a way to have better channels of feedback, better channels of working with the ASBA. But yeah, that answer.
I'd just like to add that we do, as a university as a whole, we do tackle separate issues on its own. For example, there are different minority groups that do get student government funding specifically just for their cause. I understand what you're saying that they do. We should figure out a way to make it where these different committees can handle these issues. But the thing is that Carter's already handling a lot of issues that I know about personally, like with the handrails in the stadium. That's a lot of work. You have to deal with administrators, and you all know how I feel about working with, and getting everything done. So it just kind of takes a lot of time to get that done. I think this committee will just allow us to solely focus on this and actually make sure that our liaison can actually provide color that they don't regularly do at a DEI meeting. This is something that doesn't occur. There are other schools that might already accept TRICARE and these other programs at their institutions, which Auburn is already lagging behind. So maybe it's not less of we're taking a special committee to handle this one issue, but maybe it's the fact it's an emergency siren going off that we're actually not providing these services that are accessible at Alabama or at UAB or other schools that needs to be handled immediately, if that makes sense.
And to Jonathan, Senator's point, Carter, this is obviously not a slight at you at all. You're doing great work, and you have, like they said, you have a lot on your plate. But if DEI was capable of tackling all of these issues plus veterans, they would have already been tackling veterans, right? Like that's kind of the point of special committees. Like he has so much on his plate. This is something that we believe through conversations with the ASGA, meetings with other people in Senate, is something that is important, big enough to tackle on a special committee.
Senator Alford?
Alford at large, I make a motion to end debate and let everyone think about this until it's in current order next week.
There's a motion to end debate. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All not in favor, please raise your hand and say nay. The majority has it. We'll move on to our next future order. PSSB 2304-2401. This bill is brought to you by Senator Trickle.
Federal business, I ask for approval of the following: the allocation of $910 from the reserve funds of the line item titled Schools Council of Nursing, the Student Government Association of the Governance Student Activity Portfolio. These funds will make it possible for the College of Nursing's Executive Student Council to host a catered social event for students.
Is there a second?
Second.
Sorry. Is there any questions on this future order? All right, thank you, Senator Trickle. Move on to the next future order of business. also brought to you by Senator Chugwell.
Federal business asks for approval following the allocation of $4,900 from the program expansion fund to a new sub-line item titled Production under the line item titled Special Events Spring Concert, the University Program Council of the Programming Student Activity Portfolio. These funds would cover the Auburn Productions invoice that accounts for the performance staging needs for the two separate bands. In order to have a successful event, sound and stage materials are needed for the performers and must be funded through the new sub-line item.
Are there any questions on this future order? Thank you, Senator Chugwell. Moving on to our next future order of business, this bill is brought to you by Senator Auburn.
Alfred at large, I ask for the approval of the following PSSU 23042402. Ask for the approval of the following: Ella Grace Bowers, Chief of Miss Auburn, Chief of Staff.
Are there any questions on this future order? Perfect, thank you. Moving to our next future order of business, this bill is brought to you by Senator Yon.
CLA, ask for approval of the following. Chapter 201, Executive Cabinet Law. 201.1, to serve on Executive Cabinet, the student must maintain a minimum of 2.5 cumulative unadjusted Auburn GPA during their tenure. The student must have been enrolled in at least one semester at Auburn University prior to cabinet position interviews. The student must be enrolled in Auburn University with the exception of the summer term as defined in 202.1. 201.2, an Executive Cabinet member shall automatically forfeit their membership on the Executive Cabinet if they have more than 3 excused absences from required events and/or meetings. Excused absences shall be appointed by the executive, strike vice president of cabinet administration, added to the staff. 201.2.1, the executive strike vice president of cabinet administration, added to the staff, shall consider the principal layout and Auburn University policy on class attendance. 201.3, in order to maintain an effective system of checks and balances, one person may simultaneously serve 2 or more of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches.
Are there any questions on this future order? Yes.
I had a question for like the group. Is there a way for us to like make sure that we like can put this in stone to where every time and we ain't gotta do this? Like, why is it that we go about changing things in the code of law after positions have been made? I'm not saying this is a good change, great change. But like, can this be the final change? Like next time when an executive comes in, can we make them come before the Senate before they go and create a whole so we can change it all at one time? Instead of making people do extra work.
I think that would be something that would be enforced, I think. We can also talk about that later. Okay, next future order of business brought to you by Senator Franklin.
Federal business, ask for approval of the following: Ethan Gutowski, Director of Parking and Transportation; Alexis Brown, Director of Information Technology; Michael Moraes, Director of Auburn Rings; Sophia Double, Director of Auburn Rings; Bo Crane, Director of Auburn Rings; Ellie Grace Crowder, Director of Auburn Rings.
Are there any questions on this future order? Okay, next future order of business, this bill is brought to you by Senator Alford.
Alfred at large, I ask for approval of the following: Sam Dolan, Marley Green, Carson Brock, Roland Hayes, Cole Wheeler, Ella Biles, and Olivia Burgess for Organizations Board.
Are there any questions on this future order? Moving to our next future order of business, this bill is brought to you by Senator Flanagan.
Planning and Education, I ask for approval of the following: Anna Zyrick, College Education.
Are there any questions on this future order? Wait, sorry, Anna, can you stand up and introduce yourself to everyone? Say your name and where you're from and what year you are.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Zarek. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. I'm exercise science major, and I'm really excited about this.
Okay, that concludes our future orders of business. I will send out the announcements that JD gave from exec reports about y'all's headshots and office hours and everything like that. So y'all keep up the good work for one last week, and I'll see y'all next week.